Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm going to do a kind of initial review for you on some recent modifications I've done here to my EcoBoost Mustang. Finally had a chance to get her on track down at Waterford Hills for 2 days, had 5 sessions, and had a real good chance to put her through her paces and get a good feel of how those modifications have changed the vehicle since last season. And, just understand, what I need to do differently or, kind of get my feet wet for the season too, because it's always a little kind of nerve-wracking the first track day and, new modifications. You don't want to hurt the car and, you don't want to look like a goofball out there doing something stupid. So you want to stay within your means, but at the same time, you want to really see what she can do. So I did that. Let me show you guys some clips real quick, and we'll get back and talk about some of the new mods and how they felt. Alright guys, hope you like that. I mean, it was a lot of fun. The car really ran well, and let's go ahead and start right with the turbo. I know that's what people have been asking me the most about. How's the turbo doing? How's the tuning doing? And honestly, everything went well. I'm working with Ryan Martin with PD Tuning, and he's kind of got things in. We're still, working, through revisions and whatnot, but he had things pretty good, and I definitely had the power when I needed it. And I had it in the spots that I didn't have it before, which was, from 5,500 RPMs and up. A couple of times, I got all the way up to 6,300 RPMs in the straightaway in third gear. Then I get to a point where I go ahead and switch to fourth gear, and that kind of upset the balance of the car, and I didn't really like it, so I kept winding third gear out all the time in that straight, and again, getting the engine close to red line. I don't want to get that close, so may make some adjustments on that, but I'm not sure really what my options are going to be. I think I'm probably going to have to short shift a little bit into fourth gear just a little bit sooner. Other than that, if I wait till about 6K right now and I shift to fourth, then like a second and a half later, I'm on the brakes, and then I'm going to need to downshift back to third again right before I get to the corner. Or, I can trail brake through the corner, and I can downshift through the corner because I do have auto and I use paddles, but it's one more thing you then have to worry about. So if I can get all the way through the straight, stay in third gear, I'm in good shape. And then technically at Waterford Hills, I can run the entire course in third gear at that point. There's one spot where I do usually drop to second, kind of work my way up through the hill. It just feels a little bit better. Because other than that, in third gear, you're right around 3,000 RPM, and you're just not really getting on it. So it's just kind of felt laggy, and that has a lot to do with the tune right now, because I've asked to kind of be a little conservative with the torque, at the low RPM range. I don't want to blow up this motor. This is my second motor. First one blew up. I had to pay for it. I don't want to do that again. I'm taking a big chance here by doing all this, but I wanted to do it. I was craving the power so bad. I now have it. I have more drivability with the tune, and I can't go back now. So I love it so far. I want to continue working on the tune with Ryan. We're going to get everything just the way I want it, keep it safe so that hopefully don't blow this one up. But next year maybe I do change some stuff out. I don't know. But right now I'm pretty broke after doing all this, and I'm going to be limited on a lot of my track time. I did buy a package with Waterford Hills for the bracket racing, so at least we'll do that 4 more times this year, hopefully, if the weather works out. But outside of that, I'm not sure what else I'm going to go to. I hope to make it out to the Mohawk Track Experience in August. That's always a cool 2-day event at Gingerman. But outside of that, I'm not sure what else I'm going to be able to afford to go this year. Is what it is. Next year, hopefully, it'll be better, but chances are I'm going to want to put money into the motor. I'm going to want to put money into a cage, a seat, and just all that other stuff. And it's getting expensive, and I work a full-time job and have other bills, and This is eating up a lot of that money, and it's a great fun time. I wouldn't want to do it any other way, but again, it's going to limit some of my abilities to go out of state and do some of the cool, new track, days that I want to do, where I can, set a new time at a new track and, do all the videos about arriving and showing you around the paddock and all those kind of cool things I like to do. I mean, it's a vacation basically, and the vacations are expensive. So I'm going to stick with what I got for now. Keep bringing you guys, updates on this stuff, updates from Waterford Hills, and yeah, it's good times. Excited. Next thing I want to talk about is the tires. And I think this is actually probably the modification that happened over the off season that helped me out probably the most. Now you guys are gonna probably scream at me like, no, you put a turbo and a tune in, you're telling me the tires are doing better. I think so, or maybe it's part of the alignment, so I guess I'll put that alignment setup and the tires into the same segment here, because the alignment got changed to a negative 1.7 up front, negative 1.2 in the back. That's the same track specs for the GT350R. Now I got that on here, handled really well. These tires were phenomenal. I can't do a full review because I haven't worn them out. They're not bald yet. I only had 5 sessions, like an hour and a half of track time. So I can't give you a full review yet, but I can tell you from what time I did spend with them on track that they, like I said, phenomenal. It didn't take long to warm them up. After the first, warm-up lap, they felt pretty grippy, and you had some confidence in them. After, 2 laps, it was on from there, and it took a while, because I had other things, obviously, I was testing before I really got to the point where I really started pushing it. But within my first practice session of the year, I beat my previous best time there. So, that's just a testament to all this stuff. But again, the tires, they left me, kind of wanting more a little bit at the point where I didn't hear them as much as, I had with previous sets of tires. And I don't know if that's just these tires don't make that type of noise, or if they do, there's something really, really wrong. But I finally did get them to the point where they did start to squeak a little bit, going around some of the more aggressive corners where you're pulling, closer 1.6, 1.7 on the G's. And, that's when you start hearing a little bit. But I never got to the point where you start hearing it and then you actually lose traction or break loose. I didn't get to that point. The only time I actually did lose traction was on the top of a hill at the crest, and you're just kind of like 0 G's, and if you hit the throttle at all, you're gonna, you just don't have any weight in the back end, so you're gonna kick out. And that's what I did. I kicked out to the left a little bit, just kind of quick little pucker moment, but no big deal. Didn't really lose much speed, just then went on my way. And I didn't have any problems the rest of the weekend at that spot. It's just I made a mistake there. It's not something I did before. I was just trying to make up a little bit of time through that area, that sector, and that's not the way to do it. So I found out real quick, but again, didn't go off track, didn't spin out, nothing like that. Just a quick little sideways, and no big deal. Other than that, again, I had a hard time getting them to talk to me, and they never broke loose. There's a couple spots on the track where it's really, really rough, and I just don't have a lot of confidence there because it was so rough, and I felt if I did lose traction there and I didn't hear the tires before they got to that point, then there's a wall there, that it was just going to be a bad day, and I didn't feel comfortable. It was the first track weekend, and there was a couple spots where I didn't push it as hard as I normally would because I didn't quite have the confidence in the car yet, and myself probably more than anything. And when I go back, it'll be a different story. And I think there's even more time to shave off there. Plus, tuning's not done, so Ryan's gonna get things figured out a little bit better as well, and that's all gonna help. The tires are definitely well broken in. I am going to do an X rotate on them, of course, to kind of share the wear. These are now a 300 tread wear opposed to the 200 that was on the Nittos. So I'm going to definitely get hopefully more track days out of them. Gives you definitely the ability to rotate them a lot easier, so that's a huge thing for me. But they did cost $300 more, and so far, I think they're worth that because I don't have to flip them. And that's $150 right there. So in the end, it's not that big of a cost difference, and I would definitely recommend them. But again, a full review will come out at the end of the season once I get a chance to really put them through their paces and put a lot of track days on them. Now at the end of last season, I changed out my brake pads in the front, and I thought I was going to get another track day, but I didn't. So I didn't have an opportunity to test them out until this last weekend, and I'm glad I went with these. And I'm going to tell you why, because they are made for the track. Now, if you're familiar with what I had before, I had the Hawk HPS 5.0s, they're the street track pads. I now have the full track pads. Now, these don't require you to change them out after track days, though. The only downfall is while they're cold, they don't work quite as well. You do need to get them warmed up a little bit. So just do that before you need to rely on them, and you'll be in good shape. On the track, I wasn't sure what to expect out of them. I knew they had more bite on the street, but I had never gotten up to like race speed like that and really gotten on them. And I did, and I had no problems. They were very, reliable, predictable, and I didn't get any noise out of them until basically the last session of the second day. I started getting a little bit of squeal out of this one, but I didn't have any fade or any issues, or didn't feel uneven. The pads, from what I can see, look all right, but I am going to do a rotate, and I will take those off and look at them and just make sure we're in good shape, because I think I may need to get to a point where I'm going to have to change the rear ones pretty soon. So far so good, and I recommend them if you don't have to do a lot of, I guess, cold weather driving. If you're a warm climate, do a lot of track stuff, they seem good. The dust on them, I say, is a little bit less on the street, normal driving, than the HPS 5.0s were, and the Ford Performance ones that came with the kit originally. So a little less dust, and on track it's probably about the same, it seemed. But I was on it a lot more, and I don't know. So we'll see after doing a few more track days. But cleaning was really easy. Just sprayed some stuff on, a little bit of water, it came right off, no big deal. And that's important. You don't have to really scrub the crap out of them, because that takes a lot of time. And if it does it after every time you drive it, it just gets really annoying. So far, so good on those. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and end the video there. I hope you like it. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you hit that notification bell, you'll get an email saying, hey, Matt just put out a new video, you should check it out. Then you can see all the cool things that are going on with the RS1 once tuning's done with Ryan from PD Tuning. We'll get the car out to the dyno, find out what kind of numbers we got, get her to the drag strip as well. I don't have a drag set up here, but I can still go and have a good time and see what I did. Last year I did a 13.7 without a tune, stock motor, just a couple bolt-ons, and that equates to what my weight was on an online calculator. Told me that I had roughly 280 wheel horsepower. So I don't know how accurate that is, but we'll find out once we get that on the dyno to find out what we're actually at now, and go from there and see if we can lay down like a mid-12 or something like that. I mean, I think that's where the car will be in the end. But you guys need to come along for the journey. So again, subscribe, and I'll check you next time. Thanks for watching. See ya.